Nietzsche once wrote, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." Let this powerful thought guide our exploration of economic inequality. Welcome to the paradox of wealth, a concept as intriguing as it is unsettling. As the world's wealth continues to grow, it's a strange and ironic truth that the gap between the rich and the poor isn't shrinking, but rather expanding. The world has never been as wealthy as it is today, yet the fruits of this prosperity are not equally shared. A select few enjoy the lion's share, while many are left with the crumbs. This disparity is not merely a matter of numbers, it's a chasm that separates opportunities, access to resources, and ultimately the quality of life. The rich and the poor might inhabit the same planet, yet they live in vastly different worlds. The wealthy have access to the best education, healthcare, and opportunities, while the less fortunate often struggle for even the basic necessities of life. This widening gap also has far-reaching consequences. It breeds resentment, fuels social unrest, and undermines the very fabric of society. Economic disparity can destabilize nations, and in a world that's more interconnected than ever, it's a problem that can ripple across borders, affecting us all. We live in a world where the top 1% of the population holds almost half of the global wealth. This isn't just an imbalance, it's a paradox that questions the very essence of our economic systems, our societal values, and our collective humanity. An economic model that generates vast amounts of wealth, yet fails to distribute it equitably, begs the question, is this the best we can do? As Nietzsche suggested, hardship can lead to strength, but what kind of strength are we cultivating in a world with such stark economic inequality? Are we fostering resilience, innovation, and progress? Or are we nurturing a world that's increasingly divided, unstable, and unjust? This is the paradox of wealth, a conundrum we must confront if we are to build a more equitable world. Then Nietzsche also said, "In individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule." Now let's think about the rule of economic inequality. A small fraction of our global population controls an astounding proportion of the world's wealth. This immense concentration of resources in the hands of the few can distort the balance of power, often tilting the scales in favor of those with the deepest pockets. It's a curious dance of power and wealth, a dance where the music is composed by a minority and the majority are merely dancing to their tune. In such a world of imbalance, the social and political dynamics are inevitably affected. A society that is heavily influenced by the whims of its wealthiest members may find itself bending to serve their interests, sometimes at the expense of the many. The political landscape, too, can be shaped by these economic giants, as their financial might can sway policies and decisions, often veering away from the collective good. This wealth-power nexus, this skewed distribution of resources and influence, is it not another form of collective insanity? Are we not all part of a system that perpetuates this imbalance, that allows the few to dictate the fate of the many? In the face of such inequality, are we not, as Nietzsche suggests, collectively insane? In Nietzsche's words, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Let's consider the how of those struggling under the weight of economic inequality. The how, in this case, is a struggle for resources, for opportunities, for a fair shot at life. Economic inequality is not just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about the quality of life, the ability to dream and to break free from the chains of poverty. Consider this. The world's richest 1% hold more than twice the wealth of nearly 7 billion people. That's not just a disparity, it's a chasm, a gaping void that swallows up hopes and aspirations. In a world of plenty, the plenty belongs to a few. The rest are left to scramble for the crumbs. That's the harsh reality of economic inequality. It's a game of musical chairs where the music never stops and the chairs are always too few. This struggle for resources is not just about survival, it's about dignity, about worth. It's about the right to dream, to aspire, to rise. But when the playing field is skewed, the dreams are crushed under the weight of reality. Here's the rub. Economic inequality is not an act of God. It's a man-made disaster, a product of policies, decisions, and systems that favor the few at the expense of the many. As we reflect on Nietzsche's wisdom, we must ask ourselves, what kind of how are we forcing upon those living in economic disparity? Nietzsche proclaimed, "The future influences the present just as much as the past." With this in mind, let's look towards a future where economic inequality is a thing of the past. As we delve into this vision, we must first consider the role of policy changes. Nietzsche once asserted, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." This suggests that if we as a society cannot manage our economic systems to benefit all, then perhaps it is time for a new command, a new policy that ensures a more equitable distribution of wealth. Next, we turn to the concept of wealth redistribution. Here we can draw from Nietzsche's idea that in individuals insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. This could be interpreted to mean that the collective madness of hoarding wealth within a small group is an anomaly that needs rectification. Redistribution could be the antidote to this collective insanity, ensuring that wealth doesn't just accumulate at the top, but flows throughout society, giving everyone a fair chance. Increased access to education is another potential solution. As Nietzsche stated, "One repays a teacher badly if one always remains nothing but a pupil." In the context of economic inequality, this quote might suggest that education shouldn't be a privilege of the few. Instead, it should be a tool that empowers individuals to rise above their economic circumstances, to move beyond being perpetual pupils in the school of life. Lastly, the importance of collective action cannot be overstated. According to Nietzsche, "The doer alone learneth." This implies that change won't come from idle speculation or passive observation. It will come from action, from the collective efforts of individuals striving for a more equitable world. In the spirit of Nietzsche, let us remember that our future is not yet written, and it is up to us to shape it in a way that values the worth of all individuals, not just the wealthy few.